Boom. We're on. We're on. We're on. All right.
All right, let's do it.
This is this is rarefied air, ladies and gentlemen. It honestly, yo, this is we hit the big time, you guys. We hit the big time. I don't even know where to start. I've known this dude for dude, that's crazy years. Like almost like 10 years. That's
More than that.
crazy. Yes,
More than 10.
10 plus years. From like our humble cheerleading days to freaking, one of us, kept kind of on the cheer path, and the other was like, you know what, I got bigger and bigger things to do.
Nah.
I got to spread my wings and fly. Um, Nah, honestly, that this is an absolute honor. This is my boy Edson, who is, I mean, all everything. I mean, if you name it, he can do it. If you need an athlete, he can do it. Um, if you need that guy, he can be that. If you need the dancer, he can do that. If you need the choreographer, guess what? He can do that. If you need the actor, guess what? He can do that. There's not enough slashes out there to say what this guy can do. He literally can slash this. I mean, I'm sure he's a SAG member. I'm sure he's writing member. I'm sure he's a member of everything. But he is one of the most genuine, one of the most talented people that I've ever met in my
Oh, thanks,
lifetime.
bro.
And to be able to have him on this podcast, which is weird because honestly, I didn't think I was gonna be able to get him on. This is dope. This is super dope for me. You guys know how I am. When it comes to my podcast, when it comes to the guests that I have on, it's really just people that I fanboy over, people that I'm nosy about and I want to know about their lives. So I mean, what better way to get to know and catch up with an old friend than to just barge into his life while he's in the middle of a tour, and we're gonna get to that in a minute too, and just be able to just kind of chirp and get to know what's going on in his life. Like I said, he's one of the best to do it. That's still currently doing it. He has traveled the world continuously, travels the world. He's a working artist, not an artist. He is a working artist. He's eating as we
Ew.
speak, and he's been doing it for quite some time. So it is an honor, ladies and gentlemen. Um, I don't know. I give you Edson Juarez.
Hey, what it do, LS? How you been?
I'm good.
Edson Juarez here, born and raised in Texas, from McAllen, Texas, down south, like real south, like
The real
10 minutes
South.
from Mexico. So, what's up? How you been?
Man, I'm good. I'm good. I mean, it's weird because like I don't know, man. Like it's a weird thing. Like so for those that kind of know my journey, that don't really know my journey. Like I mean, I've been in the cheer business for years. I've been in the cheer space for decades now. And one of the cool things about being in the cheer space, and in the cheer business, is you run into a lot of great people. And in those small circles of great people, there are like really really amazing people that have just otherworldly talent. And Edson was one of those that you knew out the gate was, yo, this dude is different. You know what I mean? And it wasn't like, what I mean, attitude, yes, sassy, yes, but you know what I mean. But here's the thing: you you'll be hard pressed, if at all, to find anyone that had anything negative to say about him. Was he lazy? Never. Did he work hard? Always. Did people
Oh,
love him?
thanks.
Absolutely. And it shows. I mean, and it's weird because those type of people that have that type of work ethic, that have that type of effect on other people, they tend to keep going and do bigger and better things, and they tend to affect other people that same way. That's why you see those same type of charismatic people. You see those same type of like energetic people, high energy people, highly effective people. You tend to see them be a bit more successful than the layperson. And like I said, it's cool that Edson was not the exception to that. He was always just you know top of his game no matter what it was, and he always put his best foot forward. And I think that was something in our business, especially. Doing camps and stuff like that. That's a very hard thing to do on a daily basis. And I don't think
Yeah.
people realize having to get up at 6 whatever in the morning, and then you go into bed at 10 o'clock at night, and that's not including if you decide to go out, which we all always did. So you're probably
You
going to
gotta
bed
partake
around,
of the fam.
yeah, absolutely. So I mean, you're going to bed like 2 a.m. pretty much, and waking up at 6 and having to put that face back on, having to put that smile back on, like, hey, I'm here for you. Let's get it cracking. I was never able to do that. I was never able to do that. Edson was able to do that to a T, and you would never know that he was hurting. You would never know that he was tired. You would never know that he had only got an hour or two of sleep because he was going to put his best foot forward. And fast forward to present day, like, dude, you're in the middle of a tour.
We
That's
are.
that's insanity. And I think it's weird, and it's weird because we're gonna dig into that a little bit.
For sure, for sure.
I I have literally become accustomed to, okay, where's Edson at? Okay, what's he doing now? Okay, let me look at his IG, find out what he's doing, and then let's go stalk what he's actually doing. And it's honestly been it's been that way what since like 2014, 2015.
Yeah, about that.
Um, and it's crazy to think like, you know what, dude, we used to have to do like boogie chants together, and now I'm like,
Boom,
now I'm
chicka,
doing
boom.
boom chicka boom, and now I'm like, I'm doing all the chants like, let's go Edson, you got it, Edson. So you know, I can tell you this straight up, and this is straight up man to man. I've never like willingly tried to buy tickets to see Ricky Martin just to see the dancers. And by
Oh
the
man.
dancers, I mean dancer. It's just
Ew.
it's just cool, man. I honestly we can spend a full hour of me just going on and on how proud I am of you, man. But I think that kind of goes without, without saying, man. You're so impressive and you've done so much and you continually do so much. And I think, again, this is something we're gonna touch on a little bit later. It's just watching your evolution. Not just as an artist, but as a man, and how which is the coolest thing for me, seeing like how you always find a way to come back home. And
Oh yeah.
that's, I think that's probably gonna be our first question. Um, so I mean, I know you've been, based on the West Coast, you've been up in Vegas, I mean, you've been everywhere. But
Yeah.
what in all of the success that you've had up to right now, like what keeps you coming back home?
I mean, family, like, you know what I mean? That's a like Southern grown, so and then on top of that, Mexican. So we're very family based,
Right.
that's your support group. They're always there for you through the good and the bad. On IG, all you see is all the accolades and all the successes and all the finished
Right.
product, but no one's there to really hear you or see you for the most part,
Hmm.
behind closed doors or behind the curtain, off stage, where family gets to hear out the hard
Hmm.
rehearsals or the long travel hours or the
Yeah.
exhaustion. And going back home is always my favorite part, whether it's teaching that brings you back down there to go
Yeah.
choreograph or teach classes and give back to the community that I grew up with dance as well. Um, it's my family. My family's my rock, my everything, and they've been with me and through me with everything in life. And on top of that, I would say also like the dance community. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Going back home to try to give back or provide some kind of an outlet to the community that I had, but didn't have as much of the resources. Like
Absolutely.
that was right when YouTube was coming out,
Right.
and we'd have to watch videos off of that
Yep.
to like
Yep.
figure it out. There wasn't
Yeah.
classes that we had access to. Now there's all these online class. I mean, I'm going down like a little rabbit hole here, but
No, man. I mean, but that's what it's about. You know what I mean? Like you've created home, you go back home to create a better home. You know what I mean? Like, and I think, you hit something that a lot of us really had to do, especially back in those days. We're saying back in those days, if you wanted to dance, if you wanted to try to like any type of dancing, any type of choreography that you would find, you would have to first you would have to find it on YouTube, and then you would have to learn it, but you would have to learn it the right way because you were going to be learning it the opposite way if you followed it
you
how it was
mirrored
on
it,
YouTube.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So you would have to mirror what you would have to like pretty much unmirror what you watched, to make sure that you learn it the right way. Like clearly, I wasn't the dancer. I am not the dancer that you are. But I mean, for us, like it was always like, oh, what's the latest dance coming out of Dallas? What's the latest dance coming out of Houston? Like, oh, we got a Southside Boogie. Like, how do they do that? Oh, that's how they do.
Yeah.
Okay, then we got to learn how to do that. So like, I know I that part I totally get.
Or before, when you'd record like on the TV, on a
Yes.
VHS, and you'd get that musical or award music show, whatever.
Yeah.
You just watching
Yeah.
Backstreet Boys in sync and music
It
videos, and then just
yes.
kind of like catching on as fast as you can.
Yeah.
Those
I
are your
think
lessons.
I think that was what was the probably Bye 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 was one of the first like full. I think that was one of the first full songs. I'm like I'm learning the full choreography for this one. And it wasn't hard. You know what I mean? I'm trying to think of the other one. It was that one. I
You got to
tried to
give me
learn.
a little Britney Spears a little bit
Yeah, hit me
sometimes.
baby one more time. Yeah. Um, gum. And I think the last one I actually tried to really, really learn. I tried to learn Single Ladies. Uh,
Oh yeah,
but yeah,
of course. Yeah.
yeah. but then like that part was okay until you like get to like the when she gets to the bridge. I'm like, yo, I don't know what she's gonna act. So yeah. And then here lately, I tried to do the wall to wall, dude, but I don't have I can't move anymore, bro. I'm just too big, dog.
You
I'm
just
too big.
you're not drinking the right tequila, probably.
Nah, man. I guess I'm not loose in the hips. I guess I don't know. I'm just old, bro. Um,
Nah.
so like obviously, I mean, you've been dancing, your whole life. What was? Can you remember that first dance class or the first,
Yep.
that you
So
can?
plot twist. First dance class. I mean, it's like a weird question, like or a long answer and an interesting answer,
Yeah,
just
we
because
got time.
I didn't
We got
I
time.
didn't start I didn't start dancing technically, like, or in the sense of like actually going to actively take classes or lessons or being on a dance team. So I was 18, and it was like a backward start. So it's like we started with cheer in middle school and in high school, and you have the 4A count dance, and but then again, I'm a male cheerleader in
Yep.
Texas in those times. So what do I do in the back?
You have to stand there.
Unless I'm like stunting with someone or
Yep.
tossing somebody in
Yep.
the air. But then again,
Yep.
you're in Texas, in the middle school that I was at, we couldn't stunt or tumble. So couldn't tumble, couldn't stunt. So I was on the cheer just to do
Just to chill.
sidelines. High school, fast forward to high school, guys still don't dance,
Yep.
technically, I guess. Then we started doing a hip hop team at my studio there with Lexi Chalef.
Oh, Lexi.
And
Shout out Lexi.
and so she started put together a hip hop group with a lot of our cheerleading squad from Nikki Rowe High School.
Yeah.
So then we started that, and that's how hip hop started for me, I guess. And then started taking classes then. So for me, my first class at 18, I think it was a workshop. I can't remember. There was two that day, but I can't remember who the first person was anymore. But he was dancing for Chris Brown for sure. And then it was my mentor, Jesse Santos. That's the second class I took.
Jesse
So,
Santos.
but that was back at 18. So it's been like a playing catch up, if you
Yeah.
will. But then also taking and utilizing the things that I've learned um, through cheer with movement
Absolutely.
and body control, and then I
Absolutely.
also did martial arts. So then that
Yeah.
was a lot of pairing of gatas, which are the martial art forms or routines, I
Right.
guess, if you will. And then X made it flashy, so now you do it with some tumbling and some cool little glittery kind of
Yeah.
looking thing, and then you add some music to it, and all of a sudden you look like a ninja and like Superman or Spider-Man. Um, so I took all those little lessons to kind of,
Yeah.
your body, and you can,
Absolutely.
if you pay attention to all the micro muscles or the way that you can mimic and try to follow along as much as you can. That's kind of, I guess, how I made, I don't know, as fast as possible the growth that I can say has been there.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I can't remember that first guy's name, and it's gonna tick me off. I'll text to you maybe
I was
later if
like,
I
I'm
do
trying
some
to think
digging.
because I can remember the first, and I only took, I think four. I took four. I took four dance classes in my all of my dance career. I didn't have a dance career, by the way, but I just wanted to see if I could do it. I was because again, that was when you couldn't. That was post YouTube. It was when you started getting. I feel bad. They weren't really YouTube dancers, but they were dancers that had a huge YouTube following, and
Right.
they started kind of growing and growing. So I was a big fan of So Real Crew.
So really,
And
yeah, at
yeah, and
Houston.
I was absolutely just in love with Brian Puspos.
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, I just loved his choreography. I loved his movements. It was just like water. And for me, I was well. I'm not the most fluid person, but I could tut. I'm like, oh yo, this dude, he moves, but he adds this. He incorporates the tutting really well. I'm like, yo, I'm gonna go take a class. And they opened up classes when they opened up Surreal Studios. I'm like, I'm gonna go, bro. I went. I walked in, maybe 5 minutes. Like, nah, bro. I don't know what they're saying. Because again, all I ever knew was cheer. I knew 5, 6, 7, 8. I knew that you could, you know, if you dance well enough, they start moving you closer to the front. And of course, you know what I mean? Like, there ain't no way I'm ever gonna be dancing in the front. So I was like, you know what? At the very least, I can choreograph this stuff and at least the girls can dance in the front. So I'm like, you know what, man? Maybe I'm actually halfway decent at this. Maybe I'll go try and take a class. Nah, man. Because I think I may have heard, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's literally all I ever heard was 5, 6, 7, 8, and what and ta and ta 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 pop pop ta. I'm like, whoa. This is
And then
different.
plot twist, no more counts. It's all
It's
musicality and
yes, yes, yes. And again, you learn, you learn early if like, yo, I can do this or not. I'm not doing this. But I kept going back because I just loved it.
yeah,
But I just never, it was never one of those things like, oh yeah, I'm definitely gonna do this. Nah, man. Because then summer hits and then like, all right, well, hey guys, we're gonna give you guys a chance to do a show for the girls. All right, cool. And Edson's next to you, like, oh, wait a minute. Oh, that's how you're supposed to really dance. Oh, bet I can't do that. I'm gonna sit down. It's just, and it's like I said, it's really cool. Just seeing how successful you've been, and you're doing something. And I guess I should preface it by saying to see somebody do something that they have a God given talent to do, because I guarantee you your journey to where you're at, it's definitely very, very unique. Not a lot of people would have that
most
type of
definitely.
background, and you know, to start dance so late, I guess formal training so late, and to catch up, not only to catch up, but to use that raw talent and your other abilities to not only catch yourself up, but to give yourself almost an edge over other dancers, because you've been exposed to things that not a lot of other dancers have been exposed to. And to be able to have that supreme body control earlier in life, that definitely lends itself to just to being a stronger, I think, honestly, just a stronger dancer. Because you're just exposed to more. There's only so much that you're going to be exposed to in the studio, whereas
All right,
what you're going to be exposed to, say, in martial arts, that's a whole different type of training. That's a whole different type of mental toughness that one's required to have in order to achieve just the smallest of accomplishment. So I mean, in cheer, we already know, like, cheer can either it's either going to be heaven or hell, and there's no in between. And most of the time it's the latter, just because you've got some deadline and you've got some competition and you've got to be ready for it. Um,
all right.
the one thing I will ask you, and this is going to go back into cheer, because it always made me so mad. And I think I may have asked you one time, but I don't. It may have been a passing. I always wanted to know why you didn't just go UDA.
Oh, just wasn't dancing in until I was a senior in high school, and then like a super senior and all star. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So I never went UDA, just because I also still love cheer. I mean, I was supposed to. My whole game plan was, be a physical therapist
yeah,
and go to HPU or go to
yeah,
SFA, and go do the college cheer thing, and
yeah.
then finish your 4 years at 6 years of college and uni and whatever. And then I remember working with University of Texas Pan American as like one of the associate spirit directors
Yeah.
or dance coaches. And then I remember joking around with some of the big boys with UCA about doing like a little segue into UDA, but for college camp.
I
And there was talks of it, there was plans of it. I never really did it just because I don't know. When I think about camp, my core memories are the UCA way, and
Yeah.
that's just like a whole different part of life where
Hmm.
I don't know. I just didn't want that imprint to be changed through
Yeah.
same but different family, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. Like
No, it totally
those are two
makes sense.
different. But yeah, I don't know why I never really thought
Yeah,
about
I always
doing
wonder. I was
UDA.
like, because like honestly, around like your second, third year, I'm like, this dude can dance. I mean, and you were such a okay. So I guess I should rewind. So when we're talking about UCA UDA, we're talking about Universal Cheer Association, Universal Dance Association. It's under the
Right.
same umbrella. Under the same umbrella, just one's aimed toward cheer teams, the other's aimed toward dance teams. Um, both of them require just a lot of personality, a lot of natural ability in order to instruct other people to learn either cheer or dance. Um, Edson was just so natural, and it's cool that I'm bragging about you to your face to other people right now. Um, Edson was so natural in terms of his just natural teaching ability, natural leadership, that honestly it was almost talent wasted on cheer, because I mean you're only going to say four or five of the same words over and over and over, and the girls and guys are going to get it. With dance, it requires a little bit more, and by a little bit more, I mean a lot bit more of just instruction, concentration, repetitiveness in order to, not only you given verbal cues, but those verbal cues have to translate to some physical cue, right? In order for them to get the proper technique to dance, to whatever song you've given them. Um, I always wonder, like, this dude you're so good at just instructing. I'm like, oh, he could definitely teach dance. If I can teach a dance, you definitely can teach a dance. I just, and then, and of course, when it got to the extreme routine, this is, you see my thing, bro. And you
I
never, bro, you'll never know this. And I'm telling you this now. This is so funny saying this out loud. When it came to the extreme routine, bro, I would always be like, hey, put me next to Edson.
and what was an extreme routine for the people? What is an extreme routine?
So the extreme routine was a combination of both dance and cheer, more really stunts. And you would put it to like, what was it, eight counts? I think it was like eight
I
counts.
think that they had that dance was four, and then we had like four or five extra to
Yeah,
like
yeah.
mix it up and do our own thing
Yeah.
at the end.
So I mean, so each instructor, I mean, it's we all had the same music. Each instructor was given, a team or two. If you're good, like me, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, three or four. You feel me?
Uh,
Um, and but so you would give these teams, and you give them the extreme routine, and it was your own little like mini choreography, and you would have pretty much eight to nine, eight counts to just give them something unique, like specifically to them, and boom, and of course later in the camp they would get evaluated over it slash placed. And so my thing was like, all right, I always felt like I was one of the best coaches when it came to making extreme routine until
yeah,
Edson came along. This fool was on a different level. I mean, and part of it was, I mean, like, don't you got to understand, at my best, you know what I mean, like I'm not this long, lean, pretty body, like, so like my motions when I'm doing stuff don't look the same as Edson's motions. Edson's always long, lean, pretty body, like lines were always perfect, so the girls would get it down perfect. Every time I would do like, hey, so what is that? Is that a K motion? Is that an L? Yeah, yeah, it's an L. So I would have to talk my motions, whereas Edson could just show like, look, this is what your body's supposed to look like doing it. So I would always watch him like, yo, you know what, bro? Put me next to Edson. Because I always you know what? I want to be next to the best instructor out here because that's how I graded myself. I mean, I'm always competitive, but like if you're gonna grade yourself, you grade yourself off the person you feel like is the best instructor at whatever that particular discipline is. Edson, I can honestly tell you, hands down, was probably one of the best, if not the best, extreme routine coach I had ever freaking seen. And I always felt it wasn't fair because like you're naturally creative, so you always had like four or five routines in the back of your head before you even walked out there. Where I'm like, nah, bro, I don't even know about that. Who makes that up? There's no way he made that up during lunch. There's no way. I used to get so pissed, and then we get to like final evals, and his kids would always win. Like, yo, man, I'm tired of getting these red ribbons. So I I can tell you straight up that I used to ask whoever the HI was, like, hey, during private coaching, put me next to Edson. Oh, well, he's A group, you're B group. No, 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 no. Put us both on A. Let me be next to Edson. Because dog. I loved watching you coach. Loved it. That was like
oh,
one of my
thanks.
favorite parts, man. I mean, and again, everything I'm saying, I mean, I'm sure I echo how other people felt. I mean, because you've always been like a favorite, just like, oh, Edson's on, we'd get these staff lists, right? Of like who was gonna be on our camp, like what camp we would have and everything. So you get to
Yeah,
see the people that were on it, and again, like Edson knows exactly what I'm talking about. You would go
get that
down and look,
roster. You're like,
you get that roster, look
who's
down
on
there,
this?
who's on this, and like or like if you were a vet, like I think I already had like 8, 9, 10 years in by the time you came on. So when you're an older vet, you kind of get to call the shots like, hey, you know who I would like to be on this camp. Hey, if they don't have anything, if they're not scheduling anything, get them on this camp. So I always try to get Edson on my camp. I was always try to get like John on my camps. I would try to get like all my boys, all the people that I love, like put my people on this camp. And sometimes, man, I get lucky, like, hey, Edson doesn't have anything. Oh, he good? He's good. Yeah, yeah, he doesn't have anything. All right, cool. Put him on this camp. So then, and then I would act like I was surprised when everybody got on the camp, like, oh, you on this camp. So it was just it was cool, just like being able to kind of watch the maturation. It just, not like I said, not just as an instructor, but just as a young man. It's kind of coming to your own, and really you know going from asking the questions to people asking you the questions, like that was always really really cool, man. Like I was always appreciative of those moments, man. And I think it's just cool looking back because I think you have this natural ability. You always make people, whoever you're involved with, whoever you're talking to, whoever you're encountering, you always make whoever that you're encountering feel special. And I think that's a very 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 unique quality not a lot of people have. And I think that's it's definitely sets you apart from a lot of people. um
Thank you.
because even when even when I know a person doesn't have the time, but they make the time for me for whatever that time is, it can be 30 seconds, but if they give me their undivided attention for 30 seconds, I know that people's time is precious. I know that, that's not an easy thing to do, especially nowadays when people just are ripping and running. But you always find a
Yeah.
time. I don't know how you do it, but I mean, since I've known you, you've always managed to carve out whatever time that you have to devote it to whomever you're dealing with. I mean, and that's huge. And I think that speaks volumes about you. And of course your success. So I mean it's been cool. So here we go. I'm excited about
All
this. So
right.
now we get to talk about the success. So again, like I said, I have been it it is weird because I'm not the only one. I am not the only one that's been like, oh, so what is Edson's like, where's Waldo? Where's Edson now? Um, let's talk about the so you think you can dance. Um,
Oh, what a
that
fun time.
was yo, let's take it back. Let's retro this for a little bit because that was it's cool thing about having friends that like are doing dope shit, right? Because you get to brag on them. And you get to brag on how you already knew that they were able to do that. Like, oh yeah, you know what I mean? And it's not like he's done a lot of dance classes. You know that, right? That was always my thing. Like, I mean, Edson hasn't even done a lot of dance classes. That's how good he is. Imagine if he had been doing classes for 10 years when all these other people, like, and he's still ripping them. That was me in the corner talking hella trash to everybody. Like, yo, that's your boy. Like, yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, it's a picture right here. Well, Um, what was that like, man? First of all, like, how did how did that come about? Like, what made you decide? You know what? I'm an audition.
A couple of years into like doing cheer and dance and finally like finding my way in small little avenues and taking a couple classes here and there, I knew I was already in college, pursuing, like I said, the physical therapy route. No matter how many years I was going into college and all the classes I was doing, good or bad, it never felt like what I was meant to do. I was never fulfilled the way I was fulfilled, like, when I was teaching, setting choreography here, going to competitions and performing,
Hmm.
teaching with cheer camps. It just never felt right.
Right.
When I saw the opportunity for So You Think, I think the first time I auditioned for it was maybe 2013.
Hmm.
I think so, for season 10.
Yeah.
I had one of my friends kind of say, "You should try it." I'm like, "All right, cool, we'll see it." And I knew that there was always like a segue for people to move, or dancers to move from wherever they were at to LA and pursue, or New York and pursue their. It was a
Yeah.
stepping stone for a lot of dancers. So I
Absolutely.
was like, "All right, cool." I'm like, and you know what? If I'm meant to do this and pursue this professionally, and if I make it to the show, it's meant to be. If I can't make it through this audition process, I shouldn't be a professional dancer, and I should stick to what I'm doing and just leave
Absolutely.
that to the side,
Absolutely.
which also was probably one of the dumbest things now looking back that I could have made as the ultimatum of whether or not I could pursue
Right.
this as a profession. Because it's a it's a show, and they're casting not just your dancing, but they're casting also your personality and your
And,
likeliness and you as
and
a
your
person
look.
and your story
Absolutely.
and everything. There's
Everything.
so many layers. So yeah, auditioning for that. I did that in 2013, like I said,
Yep.
season 10, make the Austin auditions, get a call back for Vegas week, do the Vegas week. I get there, like, maybe do my solo, and they're like, "You're cut, the chop, boom, gone, home." Mind you, guys drop from classes, because if you miss a certain amount of classes in
Yeah.
college, what happens? You get dropped from the
Get
class.
dropped. Yep.
So I get dropped from that class. Get back into the program. Next season comes around, season 11. This time, I get the same professor. The professor tells me, "You need to stay here. If you go to Vegas, you're dropped again, and you won't get back into the program." Make it to Vegas, stay there the entire week, make it all the way to what's called the Green Mile.
Yep.
And the Green Mile, for those that don't know, is basically every day. And after you go to your city auditions, which season 11 I was in Atlanta, once you audition and you make it through all those rounds, you get to Vegas, and you have to go through another set of rounds where there's your solo. Then you go into like hip hop, then you go into ballroom, then you go into Broadway, then you go into a group round where you have to make up your own choreography with your team, then you go into the contemporary, and then finally your last solo. So it's just like a long, gruesome process, and you're sleep deprived because you're rehearsing and trying to make yourself perfect in every single which way you can be for the judges and the cameras, and
Yeah.
trying to show up and show out. And from then, didn't get it again, so that was another heartbreak. And I was like, man, maybe I should really let this go. Season 12 comes around, deciding whether I want to do this or not. I decided to jump the gun and be like, you know what, screw it. Go with a specific plan, thinking I'm going to cater right to the people, doing the exact right formula, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then the producer came up to me after doing the freestyle round, and it was back in Dallas this time for season 12. And he's like, I need you to do something a bit more vulnerable. And I don't want you to do
Ooh.
something athletic. I don't want you to do something like
Oh, I
that,
got
that you think.
chills.
So that number was kind of like a spur of the moment number that I used to audition in Dallas. It was made up the night before, going to go audition in front of Jason Derulo, Paul Abdul, and Nigel Lithgow. It was scary. It was, but also at the same time, something about that audition felt right.
Yeah.
In the ones prior to the past two seasons before that one, before season 12, it never felt organically right. Like I never really felt like comfortable or I don't want to even say that like confident, but like not. I guess the word would be more like secure. I never felt
Right.
secure about myself really when it comes to like dancing. So like the facade that I guess like people might see me as a charismatic and strong person. It's come with a lot of like hypercriticism to myself to really try to put my best foot forward and be that to the outside world. And with
No, I
dance,
get that.
it dance is even more vulnerable. You know what I mean? Like everyone, especially now with social media, like this thing is like scary, like people
Ooh.
can cut you down within a second of you posting
Absolutely.
something up. And so being put on like a TV before phones and social media were really taking off in 2014, 15, all that stuff with
Mhm.
Instagram, that was, scary and exciting, like I said. But so that process in season 12, auditioning, it all just felt right. It all just felt good. And if flowed, it flowed, made it through that green mile. And then the process throughout the entire show was intense. You have a specific schedule week to week. So we got flown into LA, right? And put us up in these nice apartments out in on Third Street,
Mhm.
right by the Grove. If anybody's been out by LA, it's really nice, cute little
Hey, yep.
outdoor mall. Put up in these apartments. You get in first day, you get a choreographer. You're there with your duet partner. You're doing that, and then you learn your routine in 3 hours, and then within those 3 hours, you're also having to interact with the camera and BTS of learning the routine. So you're kind of focused with the choreographer to learn the routine, but you're also not because you got to be integrating with these cameras and
Yep.
playing the cameras to like those people into your life in the process. So you're like stressed about making sure you give that time, but you also got to pay attention to these details because you only got 3 hours, and then after that, you got another 3 hours of post rehearsal interviews, and then you got lunch, and you got to go through PT, and then the next day you got to learn a whole nother routine, but then also go back to the first one you learned to do your small group routine, and then on Friday you start your opening routine, which is everyone. Um, it's just so layered. By Sunday, you got um, run throughs with the whole thing, camera blocking. Monday's a live show. You're up and picked up at 3:45 in the morning. I think it was on call time to get picked up, sent out to the CBS studios. You're there in hair,
Oh,
makeup, trying to eat. By the time you serve yourself breakfast, you literally got eggs, one scoop. You're getting pulled into hair and makeup, eating your little Cheerios in the makeup chair or in the hair chair or whatever may have you at that moment. And then you go straight into live pre-recorded opening numbers at 6 a.m. with a live audience. So 6 a.m. and you're dancing full out,
that's crazy.
only to get back into rehearsals for camera blocking again that evening and do a whole run through of the show, and then to be put back into hair and makeup to get ready for the live show at 4:30 in LA. By the time you finish and do the whole show and do the interviews, it's like about 9 o'clock. By the time you finish enjoying whether it was a good show or a bad show for
Oh
you, and
my
living with
gosh.
all the people, and long. It was a long
Oh
process. It was
man.
heavy, but it was exciting. There was so many ups and downs through that whole process. That was when I was really also. I mean, you're a guy fitness, so I was really into my supplements at that point. I was trying to. I always thought aesthetic was important for dance, and I thought, if I'm a short guy, I'm like 5'9", sometimes 5'8". It depends on a good day. But on the
Yeah.
resume, I put 5'10". I'll dance with a heavier shoe with something with a heel or with an
Yeah.
insert. So you like dance taller also helps and makes you blend in with the guys who are 6 foot. A lot of
Right.
times on jobs, I'm dancing next to guys who are 6 foot tall.
Yep.
Um, and you can't make the picture look short. And with cheer, it's all about symmetry. So you learn to like kind of pull up.
Absolutely.
Um, so I was really dabbled into, the supplements. I was on the vascularity, kind of like what's it called, Noxaval to get like
Yeah.
the vascularity. But I was doing so much creatine and wasn't filtering it out. And with the amount of dancing that I was doing,
Oh,
what was happening was I was basically becoming so acidic in my body that I was seizing up and having cramps,
yep.
muscle spasms. So with dance, when you got like in contemporary, if you point through your and articulate through your foot, if you
Lock.
are if you grip your body, will
Yeah.
that was my elbow that just definitely popped loud. It'll lock up and it'll
Yeah.
seize up. So I was going through these weird episodes where, and we were drinking like water like this instead of drinking like a high pH water. You're drinking these
Oh
bottled
yeah.
waters by the like every 5 seconds you're finishing one of these through a run through of a routine. So
Yeah.
these bottles don't have much
They don't
to
have
help you
much.
out. It's
Nope.
mineral for taste. It's just
Yeah.
like nothing water.
No.
So I was drinking so many of these a day and my body was shutting down.
Yep.
And there was like a glimpse of it that happened in the audition process that season where they showed me going down in Broadway and I had like a full on muscle spasm, but in my hamstring. There was something that was never filmed. I think it was like week 2 or 3 of the show, the live shows, where we were in rehearsals running it. And so it was probably one of the scariest things of my life. I felt like I was having a seizure, but was fully conscious, was fully aware
Oh.
of everything. My hands literally curled inwards. My
Oh
legs had
no.
completely locked out. I was on the floor.
No.
Like cameras weren't rolling. Nothing was like, it was just scary, you know? And it was just the
Yeah.
amount of hours I think that my body was doing. And on top of that, and rehearsing with my partners, after rehearsals back in the hotel, I mean, apartments, I was still trying to like, keep the grind going of, well, I'll just wake up at 4 a.m. and just get a set in the morning. And then, or I'll just stay up later and get a set in the gym, not taking care of my body. So I, once again, down the rabbit hole, but that process, I don't know, it was interesting to go through all these really crazy emotional roller coaster moments of my life where I kind of really grew even faster, but in a more spiritual and mental and emotional way. Um, with dance, it's always hard to with it, being a person. It's always hard being vulnerable, let alone like I
Absolutely.
said, being a dancer and exposing yourself. But with that show, it also peeled another layer where it's also like people are trying to get to know you and your
Mhm.
personality, and that's also just another layer of being vulnerable. And it's just was really cool to me for that show how much it's prepared me for this industry and
Absolutely.
for the layers of yeses and nos that you're going to get
Mhm.
and people who are, how do I say this? It's all subjective. So the learning to take things with a grain of salt, but with
Mhm.
also taking that criticism and maybe using it to apply it to your craft and better yourself, whether it was a compliment or like I said, a critique.
Yeah.
You learn to run with it with the good and the bad, and that show really kind of helped harden my exterior while also letting it be something that's capable of being opened at the same time. It was like a new way of finding the balance of letting people in to the deepest level of my ability while
Mhm.
also, being okay with whatever that result is of them liking it or not.
That's crazy,
Yeah,
dude.
so you think was an intense ride, but definitely something I don't know if I could have I could have ever made it to where I'm at now without that experience.
It was needed. It was a needed experience.
Yeah, and
I
then
mean,
that
I
that show
mean,
kind of it catapulted everything in my career.
absolutely.
Without that,
Well, I mean, I think a lot of it was just it was a lot of, at least from the outside looking in, just a lot of that training, a lot of the rehearsal, a lot of those, times that you missed out on earlier,
yeah,
because you weren't able to put that kind of, that kind of time and work in because you had other things, that you were doing, and you started late. I believe, at least again on the outside looking in, it was it was intense. It was so much intensity, so much vulnerability, all that's encompassed, impacted into one single entity, that it was almost like, all right, we're gonna dump this all on you. What are you gonna do with it?
right,
Whereas a lot of people, a lot of dancers, a lot of people that that weren't as successful, that haven't been as successful, they weren't able to travel that road. They weren't able to travel that route because, I mean, let's be real. Like, I mean, it's not for the squeamish. It's not for the weak. Um, and the fact you had to wear so many hats. I think that's the part that even I mean, I thought I knew a little bit about it, but I didn't even know you had to wear so many other hats. I mean, you weren't just going to dance, and I think that's what, you know, I always have to give, extra kudos to to people that actually, get on a television, a television series, and all right, I'm going to compete. Okay, but you're also, like you said, being casted. You also having to sell yourself, sell your story, along with, oh yeah, this is the skill that I bring, along with these other people, but I'm going to bring my skill in a different way along with my story, and if it fits what you guys are trying to sell, then you know what, let's see if I can excel at this. That's
Yeah.
crazy. um so I guess, you you did well. You did very well. You did very well, by the way. I mean, it's not like you can't be Googled. Um, but you did very well. You went on tour. Um, ah, so this is my question. So let's say after So You Was Done, right?
Hmm.
And you pointed it out earlier. That's when a lot of dancers decide, am I gonna go West Coast? Am I gonna go East Coast? Did you
Or am
you
I going
know
to go home?
or yeah, are you gonna go home? Um, let's be honest, you weren't gonna go home. Relax. There was no going.
Well,
There was no going home.
there
Relax.
was, you have to remember, at the same time, I was still doing the competitive cheer and dance thing and was running
Yeah,
my own dance program at the same time
this
as me
yeah,
being
that's true. I
on the
remember
TV
that.
show.
Yeah.
So there was also that there's kids I've been mentoring and
Absolutely.
teaching, like, how do I just leave all that behind?
Well, yes, yes, but,
But
but,
also, what about me?
yeah, and what about what you teach? Following your dream. You know what I mean?
Right. So
Like,
it's like
yeah.
there was so much. Yeah.
I mean, that part I do get. You know what I mean? But I also, we tell everyone, chase your dreams. You
Yeah.
put your heart into it. You
Which
give
is a
everything you
scary
have.
thing.
It is one of the most scariest things that you will ever do as a human being is like realizing, you know what, I've got to give this everything I have, meaning I have to leave everything and everything that's not this behind in order for me to give this one specific thing my all. That is so scary because if I fail,
Yeah.
because it's always in the back of my head, what if I fail? Okay, if I fail, then is it all for nothing? Possibly not. But will I be able to make up for the lost time? Will I be able to do this or that or the other because of what I've sacrificed? That is very very scary. And you like you said earlier, it makes that's vulnerability. I mean, across the board,
Yeah.
it's a gamble. Let's just be 100. It's a gamble, but either either you're gonna crap out or you know what, or you're gonna be super successful. I feel like you're the latter right now. I feel like you're doing pretty well. I don't know, call me crazy,
Well, we're,
but
we're working on it.
you're working on it. But let's say, like, you know what? All right, how about this? Are your bills paid?
Yes, sir.
Okay, is your belly full?
I just had a beautiful bacon double cheeseburger from the food, what's it called, room service, right before this little call. So
Okay,
yes.
then. So yeah, so you doing all right. You got a roof over your head. You got clothes on your back. You're blessed. What I like I said, for me, you know, what was I guess what I want to know is what made you decide, all right, I'm gonna go West Coast and not East Coast. Was there anything in you like, you know what, I think I want to do the Broadway thing? Um
Uh, well, I can't sing, so this is going to prove to be interesting later. So I can't sing to save my life. I have gone to some Broadway auditions now,
mhm,
but in that moment, I think I already had a very set uh, idea of who I wanted to work with or work for,
right,
and dance alongside or perform for. All those things I already had a very specific vision as to the kind of career path I wanted to take
right,
leaving So You Think. And like I said, every dancer that's on that show and makes it as far as they do, whether it's just the top 20 or the top 10 and perform to the tour, um, everyone knows what route they want to take, or they think
absolutely,
they know the route they want to take, which is also
right,
interesting as well. Growing up, I saw movies from New York and dance movies, and I always thought I wanted to do, Broadway dancing. The older
absolutely.
I got, I actually stopped enjoying, for a moment, musical theater stuff. I I just, it wasn't sitting with me. It was like we're watching a movie. Why did everyone break out into a song? I'm confused. Where did all this
Ooh,
come
the
from?
world's greatest hater. You're a hater.
It's
You
not even a
you
hater.
are
Just
you already like listen, I'm gonna be 100 right now. Anybody that knows me knows I will fight behind some music theater. You already know. I thought
see,
I was gonna be the first black Jean
I
Valjean.
appreciate it. I appreciate it now. to
Oh
another
yeah, I mean,
level.
yeah, I mean, you're closer to it than
There
I
was a
am.
moment when I was like, in my 20s, and all I wanted was a snatch, crack, crack. I wanted to hear some bass drum, a
Yeah.
guitar. That still to this day is probably the most sexiest feeling to ever touch the sensories of all of my body is the feeling of a live band
Ooh,
playing and feeling the reverberations from the stage to the speakers that are around you and above you, the warmth of the stage lights, the roar of a crowd. I'm sure we'll get into that
that's
later, but
that's
basically the idea
crazy. Yeah.
the idea that I knew I wanted was a tour, TV, film. I knew that that's what I wanted to take, and I knew out of the two locations, New York or LA, LA was the prime location for me to be. So
Yeah.
going with So You Think, we had this thing called a friends and family showcase before we went on tour, where they also invited all of the agencies out in LA
Oh wow.
to do kind of like a pre-scout. Now, while we
Yeah.
were on this tour, we weren't allowed to get signed to any agents, though. We couldn't have any representation to compete on the show. We couldn't have any representation until our tour contract was up, which was not till January 20 something of that year, or entering year, which is 2016. I met a man named JC Gutierrez, who is still to this day my manager. I had met with other people, but there was just like we had said or talked about earlier, is like the people that you meet. There's some people that just really stand out to you,
Yeah.
and there's people who immediately you just know like they've got a great head on their shoulders, or
Absolutely.
they know what they want. They're inspiring, they're motivating, they're just great people to be around, and you want to surround yourself with those kind of people. And so for me, in that moment when I met this man, I was like, okay, he could be, the guy to help me get my
Yeah.
career started. Tour goes on. We have our LA show in December of 2015, and that's where everyone's allowed to kind of do their what's that? What happens in football when signing day,
Yeah.
a draft day, whatever.
Yeah.
That's the day where everyone was allowed to mingle with the agents after that, performing for them in LA, which also everyone's, it's one thing to perform live on TV and try to get the votes to, become America's favorite dancer. It's another thing to perform for a room full of agents and also, the fans of So You Think. But this is ultimately like, all right, let's see how great you've gotten in the past 4 months of touring. And do we want to still actually keep you? And are we interested in having you as part of our
Yeah.
cast or crew of,
Yeah.
of dancers that we have our roster? So yeah, that guy signed me that day. It was just kind of a no-brainer, and to this day, he's one of my now managers. I have three or four, all working within the same umbrella. Yeah, it was like I said, the trajectory from So You Think was so clear of where I wanted to go in LA, and it was just an
That's
easy choice.
crazy. That is so awesome, man. I'm like smiling in the ear, like, oh, I'm here. Um, that's crazy. So so you think, and then so you when do you move to LA? I guess that's the question.
So the
Is that in
show was in 2015, like July of 2015. When I started the tour, started like September of 2015. It ended January of 2016. I had to come back home to Texas because I still had dancing competing for
Yep.
nationals and going to worlds and all that. All the while, because worlds is the big competition where there's
Yeah.
cheer and dance, but like at the world,
Yeah.
it's like the basically Olympics before now we actually have an
Yeah.
Olympics for cheer and dance.
Right.
Um, so quick shortcut to when I was auditioning for Vegas Week season 12. I had that whole week, by the way, of Vegas Week was the same week that Worlds was starting.
Ah.
And remember the dancing hot mess that we had?
Oh, yeah.
So
Oh.
that week I had made it all the way to the very end, and I was freaking out because we had to compete on Saturday, and we had a rehearsal on Friday there in Florida. Mind you, I'm all the way in Vegas, a couple hours behind, and the oh my god, it was so scary because they're also having to book your flight the second that they find out you either stay or you don't.
Yeah.
And made all the way to Green Mile, finished all my interviews, tried to do it as fast as possible so they could get me on the right flight to make it to Worlds and perform that day. I made it literally like by the grit, like the skin of my teeth to perform with that team. So yeah, that was also just like a whole nother hard sack on its own.
Oh my
But so
god. It's like now all the pieces are coming together.
and so 2016, finished the tour. I go back home, coaching the team. Go to compete in Florida. My niece is born. Get to see her reborn in Texas. But in that process, I'm like going back and forth between Texas and LA, trying to find an apartment because I know I'm moving out there. But you got to be out there to scope out a few places. You can't just be like, oh, that's fine, it's gonna work out, and
Yeah.
then a month later, like you've got water all over your floor or
Yeah.
something. I don't know. But yeah, that year I moved out. In finally was living in LA 100% by the time Worlds was over, which is in April.
Yeah.
So late April after Worlds, that was my last goodbye going between Texas and LA, and I had officially moved to LA. With moving to LA, you think this was the perfect stepping stone. This was the perfect, push and momentum you needed
Yeah.
to, get things started in LA. That was probably the driest year I have ever had trying to work in LA.
It's
I
all
booked
nose.
all of maybe two jobs, and one was a job that paid maybe $250, and the other one was a New Year's Eve job, which means it wasn't until the end of the year.
Oh my gosh.
So thankfully, teaching and choreography and all of the dance routines and competitions that go on in Texas and the
Yeah.
people and the connections I've had, that was a great balance of having.
Absolutely.
And also I'm smart, so I try to save as much of my money while on tour.
But
So I had
you
that
already.
nice little safety net. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I
Um,
feel you on that. Woo-wee. Oh my gosh. Listen. Choreography has kept me off the street, boy. I'm telling you. Like,
thank
man.
baby Jesus for all the eights
Whew.
in the world.
I mean, listen. I mean, R.I.P. Rest in power, Robert Torres. Because boy, Robert would send me. I need you to go. I need you to go to Colombia. For how long? You know what? It don't even matter. Cool, I'll be there. Hey, we
Right.
got this team that needs help. All right, bet. What do they need? You know, it don't even matter. I'll go. Like, listen, my lights are flickering. They're about to get turned off. Yeah, I'll go. I'm not even tripping. Now ooh man, I know that feeling for sure, for sure. But when you stack the chips, you save them. You're good. You got a little safety net. So I
Yeah.
want to fast forward since we're talking about nothing sexier. You know what I mean? I want to talk about this Magic Mike stuff. Um, listen, man. Listen, I'm again, like I said, you find where's Waldo? Where's Edson? Oh wait, where's Edson at? He's at what? Magic Mike. Since when? Hold on, let me look. Oh, he for real is. Okay, that's a bet.
Hold
That's
on. Let me get my charger. My laptop's
no,
playing
yeah, yeah.
games right now.
No, you're good. You're
What is
good.
Yeah, so Magic Mike, bro. That was a plot twist for sure. You know,
Listen.
um, we we done did the thing. That was a job
Oh my
within a
God.
job.
Listen, man. When I tell you, I did not believe it till I saw it. Like, real? You know what? I ain't even mad. I ain't even mad. Listen, here's the thing. Obviously, when we're for those that'll be watching the actual video, you'll see what it looks like. Beautiful person. He's beautiful. For those that are listening, um, you're gonna I'll have his socials and all that stuff up. I will tell you this: you're never gonna find a more symmetrical set of abs. So if ever, I voice said he was in the gym. He's not lying. The boy was in the gym. He's in the gym. When that Magic Mike, I'm like, hold on. Oh yeah, boy ain't got a shirt on. Oh, that's Edson. We're good. He's good. He's got it. He's good. He's got it. I I don't know which one I was prouder of. I don't know. I'm like, man, I don't know if I was proud of the Magic Mike or the So You Think. Cause I was just like, this dude, he is this. He's on his own wave right now. I think you know what? I don't know if there was pride as much as I was just hyped. I think I was hyped for you because I mean I I just know how much work you put in, and I know like how serious you take it, and I know how much you love it, and just I personally don't know. I know what it's like to act on stage. I know what it's like to be in front of a crowd, like acting wise, singing wise, but I've never had I don't know that I'll ever have that type of confidence. I'll have that type of ability to be able to dance and to dance at such an elite level that I'm the 1% of the 1%. I know that that'll never be me. So to be able to to be able to dance well enough to be able to express yourself, and I think that's might be why I'm such a just a fan, not just a friend but a fan, is that I think it's weird saying it out loud, dude, because I swear I sound like a weirdo right now. There's a lot of dancers out there, right? There's a lot. and there's a lot of people that think they can dance. And then there's that few of you guys, I can say you, that are, Edson, you don't have to ever say a word. And I know exactly what you feel. I know exactly what you're saying by the way you move. And I think that's
Thank you.
been
I
one of
appreciate
the
that.
coolest freaking things is that I, if I didn't know you, you would still be one of my favorite days. If I never knew a thing about you, you would still be one of the people that I follow. Like, oh, yo, this is fire. Earlier I talked about your evolution. I think the coolest thing, okay, one of the many cool things about you, one of the coolest things is watching how your choreography has evolved. That it's one thing to evolve as a dancer, but to be able to choreograph and your choreography evolves along with you, that's that's and I
Yeah.
mean, and it's not like subtle. Not that your choreography was trash before. No, like let me
No, no,
no, hold on.
it's all
But
it's all good.
like it I just it's just cool seeing just the lines are cleaner, and the symmetry is different, and the musicality is different. I think that's, I mean, you've always been really really good at choreography, but your musicality is, it's so different now in how you you're able to make a pocket of people move like the same person, or move, you can make 30 people move like 3 people. That's crazy to me. And I mean, I think I'm good at cheer choreography. I'm good at cheer dances. But if you're like, hey man, here's a track, make this work. There ain't no way. Or I can pick my favorite song, like yo, I would love to choreograph a number to this, and it would just look like people running around in oatmeal. The way that you're able to just, it's just weird. Like, I mean, I mean, it's cool because I mean, and again, anyone can go to his IG and look at some of his earlier stuff versus some of his newer stuff. I'm like, yo, dude is nice. Um, I think that's, it's just cool seeing your evolution, man. Like I enjoy it because I mean, again, because I know you, but and you have to, at least for me, I have to be honest. Like, would I like him if I didn't know him? Yes, I would. Would I enjoy his dancing if I didn't know him? Yes, I would. Um, would I go to a Magic Mike show if I didn't know him? Nah, I probably wouldn't. I couldn't. But I'm definitely I'm gonna hear about it. You know what I mean? Like, would I let my wife go? Absolutely. Um, how, I gotta know, dude. I got to know. How was that? How was this? And I just, I mean, here's again, anybody that, this is why I have to allude back to what I'm talking about. Is like when we go out and everything, when we would go out, after, our long nights of coaching cheer and everything. I'm like, listen, don't let Edson drink, fool. You already know. You already know. Okay, all
Oh,
right.
there goes the whole check for camp one night.
One night
Man.
is gone, but dude, I would crack. I'm like, here come. Oh, Edson, he's on it. Oh, he's
Hey, yo,
on it.
Jesse, Allen, come here real quick.
Like, yeah, he's on it. And I would just be rolling. I'm like, okay, cool. Cause like in my head, I'm like, Magic Mike. I can't see him doing Magic Mike. I'm like, wait a minute. I can't see him doing Magic Mike. I've seen him do Magic Mike plenty of times.
Flashback.
Flashback, final night, night three. Um,
Work week, rap party. Here we
work
go.
week, we're done.
Webbies.
I just, and it's honestly, man, I was so elated. I don't know if I can't remember if I laughed. I was like, oh, Edson. I don't know what I said. I was like, oh, he's doing it. He's doing it. And you did it big, boy. You did it big for real, for real. How was that? I don't even really know how to ask the question. Like, how was that?
So that remember that year I told you that was dry with
Yeah.
auditions and work for me in 2016 after
Yeah.
moving. That was actually one of my first auditions in LA.
Hmm.
And I was 20, 25, 25, and babyface auditioned, got all the way to the end, interview process for that job because it opened in 2018 or 17, I believe, in Vegas,
Hmm.
and that's where the home original show is,
Yep.
and majority of the original cast. I auditioned for that. Like I said, got all the way to the end. It's all a casting thing, whether you fit right with the right people for the job and you know the casting of it all.
Yeah.
Um, that didn't work out. Then we got a call back again to audition, but for the London show. And then that didn't work out also, but also for other reasons with things that I was pursuing at that time. That's right when I had just started dancing for Ricky for the first time for his Vegas residency. So I
Yeah.
was kind of busy with other projects too. It just wasn't adding up for what I wanted in life. I got another like private call because they were having to replace the American that was in London because his visa was going to be up and he was going to be doing joining the Australian cast. So there was an open spot in London. I went to the audition, kind of just wasn't told to prepare a solo for anyone else auditioning. We weren't told to do any of that, but I remember preparing a random solo right then and there again too for that process. Do the audition. I already knew the people, the Teresa Espinosa, Allison Folk, Luke, Broderick. They all just kind of had like a really, really cool sense of like dopeness
Mm-hmm.
within like just themselves as dancers and choreographers, the people that they are, and the jobs they've done. They're just like such a pinnacle of people that you want to be working for and learning from, and trying to like even touch a skosh of the caliber of like talent that they have,
Yeah.
and so I got picked very like months later after auditioning in like May of 2018 or 19, sorry. I auditioned in May of 2019, and my agent JC, the one I spoke about earlier,
Yeah.
was kind of back and forth with negotiations. At that same time, I had just finished going to New York to audition for West Side Story, the revival. This is when we talked about how I can't sing, but I had been doing a couple of like auditions for Hamilton, and West Side. I had gone to all the way to the end for West Side for casting, and basically we were just up for negotiations and seeing what contract came through. London's contract came through with Magic Mike before West Side, so I decided to take that one.
Uh,
And at that time, also with life, personally, I wanted to like get as far away as I could from LA. Just had turned into, not that it was a bad thing with work. I was actually booking pretty consistently and doing direct bookings where I wasn't even auditioning. It was just a moment in time where I felt like I needed to kind of get away.
yeah.
And New York was far, but London was further. And the idea of also relocating and going and living abroad and,
Yeah.
taking in different culture and different people and just seeing more of the world was something that was like, this is exactly what I needed in my life right now, and exact opportunity to take. And what better way to do it than paying the bills and getting all the experience with just dancing, And on top of that, it's something that was a style, or not necessarily style, like in a sense, I guess, a style of dancing that I wasn't necessarily tagged for
Mm-hmm.
in the dance world so far as for as long as I've been in it thus far.
Right.
Everyone knew I was a good technical dancer. Everyone knew I
Yeah.
could be clean, do some cheer stuff. Everyone knew I could do hip hop here and there, and
Yeah.
jazz funk and street styles. But the masculine card was something that would not necessarily be, tagged to my name right off
Yeah.
the bat. Um, and that was also another layer of vulnerability where you're literally in your draws,
Yep.
at a point. I mean, you're still dancing. The show is really cool. It's it's immersive. It's a break. It breaks the fourth wall. You engage with the dancers like literally physically,
Yeah.
like by being brought up on stage and interacting with some of the numbers. It was just such a whole nother layer again that I had to learn to be comfortable and vulnerable and exude sexiness, but not necessarily just like beef head kind of like flex under a light and
Yeah.
just like look at me, jacked.
Yeah.
It wasn't that. It was more so like, how can I now take my performance of dance and my life experiences and then see someone that's in the audience, and how can I make them feel special? How can I make them feel like I'm only looking at you and leaving whatever's out there in the real world for those 90 minutes that you're here to watch our show? How can we make this person's experience amazing? You know what I mean?
That's
That
crazy.
job
Yeah.
was probably the coolest way of getting to know so many people that were either
Right.
audience members, but then also like the cast members that I met in London. Some of those guys are like ride or dies
That's
for
awesome.
the rest of my life. Not just in London, I got to work also in Vegas for a couple
Yeah.
months while they were shooting the film for the third part of the movie.
Yeah.
And then I also did the tour in Miami for the company. So it's been about almost like 2.5 ish on and off years
Yeah.
of working with that company, and that company also helped me solidify a skill set that I've always wanted and really wanted to dive more into, which is
Yeah.
aerial, um, which I had done something in Ricky's show before, by mind you lying that I could do it. I was like, we'll be fine. Uh, I did aerial for Ricky's show, but we were in a harness and connected to cable. So at least at that point, I was like, if shit goes wrong,
I still got something
it's
to
a
save
it's
my
a
life.
it's a cable. You know what I mean? It's not that I did something wrong. It was like, that was like something that
Yeah.
insurance is gonna have to take care of later. But with the show for Magic Mike, it's on what's called braided silks, and the whole thing, it's on
Oh,
you. Like, you're not strapped in. There's no safety net. There's no safety guard. Like, you're having to move through choreography and transitions to stay locked into the braids, or physically you're holding yourself on with your grip of steel.
yeah.
Um, yeah, that whole part of my life for Magic Mike was, again, another like learning experience, and another a whole nother like layer of my life. And everything thus far that we've spoken about has had such a specific imprint, and such a specific thing to learn for myself, for my
Right.
dancing, and for who I am. Like, from cheering in high school, to starting on a dance team to go do these UDA and all-star dance competitions, to doing UCA staff, and still staying in the chill world, learning that, to that somehow blending into dance, like collegiate dance, and then all-star dance,
Right.
that leading to me doing my career with So You Think You Can Dance, and that being a whole other section of life, to figuring out life in LA, to finding a big contract like Magic Mike that was able to kind of finish that little rainbow wheel of
Yeah.
like arsenals of tools and styles that I've been accumulating throughout the year, you know what I mean,
Right.
or the years of me dancing. It was just a really cool and interesting part of my career, just
Yeah.
because it's not necessarily something that I jumped at the opportunity to do. You know what I mean? It's not
Right.
like, when I think I'm like, oh, I want to be a professional dancer, I wouldn't necessarily say male review right
Right.
away. You know, that's
Right.
not where I was going with it. If anything, I always try to make sure I was never doing like atmospheric dancing, with like, which is like go-going, or like
Yeah.
little boy shorts, or like
Yeah.
little speedo underwear. It's like,
Niche.
that was
You don't want
never.
to like that niche or anything like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't want it to like have to, which is nothing wrong with it either. Like, I
No,
mean, I have friends who go all the time, and it's cool, but
it just wasn't for you.
yeah, it just wasn't for me. It wasn't like the pathway, or like a intersection that I wanted to get to. But Magic Mike was definitely, like I said, interesting. It was also scary, like, to put yourself out there like that. I was like, am I
Absolutely.
doing this now? Am I now like a go-go dancer? Is this what I'm doing now? Like, am I like, I know I like, I post shirtless pictures on Instagram here and there, but like, this is a whole nother level. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I like that show. The takeaway was just kind of like appreciating it. The whole show is about female appreciation, and
Yeah.
like, women understanding their self-worth, and not just
Absolutely.
women. It's really a show for everyone, but like understanding your self-worth, and how valuable you are, and how perfectly imperfect you yeah, perfectly imperfect you are. Um, and I kind of took that away from myself. You know what I mean? It wasn't just about the audience member. I also kind of like learned more about Edson through that time, because
Right.
that was also, that Magic Mike first contract was 2019 of September, and my visa was up until July of 2020. Now, what happens when you're living abroad? Just watching the Super Bowl, J Lo on the strip pole getting down, and you're like, life's good. I'm living internationally, and all of a sudden you get locked up in a house with two
Yep.
other people that you just met 6 months ago, and now you don't know if you're going to go back home to Texas, and this is how
Yep.
you're going to go out. The
Yeah.
30-year-old stripper.
It's so stupid.
30. That was my favorite tagline to say during the pandemic. How are you doing? I'm good. Just a retired 30-year-old stripper who's dropped out of college.
I was college dropout. No worries. Kanye did it. You're fine. But that's
Yeah,
crazy though. And obviously you made it out. We need a part two and three. Um, because there's so many layers, man. And I think that's the cool part. It's just if through all of this, people are able to see, you know, a couple things, how you were able to acquire more layers to the onion that we all are really. But through your life experiences, there's so many layers that you acquire, but also through those life experiences, there are also ways that you can peel back a lot of those layers of that onion. And I don't know, man. I think that's up to this point. I think that's been the coolest thing to hear you speak on is just how you're able to learn these life lessons through all these life experiences and either, you don't let them break you, but you use them obviously to build upon. Every layer has been like, you've used it as a stepping stone for the next move and the next move and the next move. Thus inspiring those people that follow you, those people that idolize you to do the same thing. Like, you know what, Edson can do it. I think I can do it. I'm gonna use my life
Oh yeah,
experiences to get to the next move and the next move, next move. And for those of us, really on the outside looking in, watching you, applauding you, and really rooting for you, like, you know what, dude, this dude is doing it. And I think it's, at least for me, I can't speak for everyone else. I can speak for myself and myself only. I think everyone wants to be a star in some ways. It doesn't matter if you want
yeah,
to be a star at home. It doesn't matter if you want to be a star to your husband, or you want to be a star to your wife, or you want to be this huge rock star to your kids. You want to be a star to the people that you mentor. Everyone wants to be a star in some form or fashion. Um, and some of us, become these actual stars like yourself that, you do something just a little bit past ordinary and two bits past extraordinary. And the next thing you know, you're doing something that just most of us that do want to be a star, I could never dream of, like, you know what? I'm gonna go pay my bills overseas, fool. Nah, 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 nah. You do what you do. I'm gonna do what I do, but I'm gonna do it on the grand scale. Um, you know, it's one thing, everyone wants to be sexy in some form or fashion. I believe that in my heart. I really believe that everyone wants to be sexy or be seen as sexy by someone, spouse, boyfriend, girlfriend, some random on the street. You want to be seen as sexy, desirable by someone. But for someone like yourself to be able to, I'm going to encompass this and I'm going to use this as a tool, not only, I'm going to bottle this up, but I'm going to use this as a tool to show appreciation to you, and you. That's crazy. That's professional, bro. Like, I don't even know, for me, I'm like, where would I even start? Like, how would I start? Where's my inspiration? You know, like, how would I bottle this up to make, this person feel this way, this person feel this way, by the way that I dance, by the way that I relate to them, by the eye contact that I make, by the way that I move. I don't know. I'm built like a melted candy bar, dog. Like, there's nothing I'm gonna do that, and again, you're an artist, that's just, Picasso had his paintbrush. You have your body. Your body is a natural moving paintbrush. That's just, it's insanity to me, man. Like, I can't imagine just having that type of skill to where I don't need words. I am the picture. I am the words. My body is the words. Like, and again, that's why I'm so just like, what? And I think I'll probably continue to be that way. Um, I mean, as long as I know you, I'm probably gonna just be in awe of your abilities. What you've been able to do, just, in your short young life, and you have so many years ahead of you. You have so many more people to inspire. So many more eight counts to dance to.
so many more for
So
sure.
many more, and that's the
So
best
many more.
part.
At least that's just at least tomorrow night for sure. You know,
So I want to talk about this before I let you go, because you are on tour with Ricky right now.
we are on the trilogy
The
tour.
trilogy tour. Um, how has that been? I mean, I'm like on a first name basis, like I know Ricky Martin, like personally, like Ricky. Who am I? Who am I right now? I'm tripping. Um, what has that been like? Like, okay, let's rewind it to when you book it, because is this was this your second time, your second stint working with Ricky, or
So I first auditioned. This is my second. Well, this is my first tour with
first
Ricky.
tour? Okay.
Um,
But you worked
but
with him on his
it's residency in
residency.
Vegas,
Yeah.
yeah,
Right.
back in 2018. So I had auditioned for his residency. It opened in 2017,
Uh-huh.
and I had auditioned for it the first time in LA in, I think it was like January, late January,
Mhm.
of that year in 2017. Made it to the last top 10 boys, and they picked eight. So
Okay.
life goes on. You keep
Well, yeah.
going through. It's cool. It's one audition in a lifetime, and many. It's probably one of the best advices I've gotten, or one yes and lifetime of no's.
Right.
So you kind of get used to it in a sense, but that one was one where kind of like was triggered and wanted to probably go back home after the audition.
Yeah.
JC Gutierrez was there again, the
Yeah.
manager, to talk me off the ledge.
Absolutely.
Um, Time passes by, more experience is gained, more lessons are learned as you're learning to navigate the industry, and how to better myself for the job.
Mhm.
Um, the following year happens, audition for Ricky's residency on the March 1st, which by the way, it was a leap year that year. Or it was it's still, oh, what is it? When is a leap year? When there is a 29th or when there isn't a 29th?
I think it's where is a 29th, right? Sleep year
Okay,
was
so then it
February.
was not leap year. And I was under the impression that there was going to be February 29th. And in fact, it was March 1st, which was the day of the audition. So I wasn't even ready for that audition. My car had just gotten towed the night before. I had just gone to the impound lot that morning. I just worn whatever to go get that out of the impound lot. I was like, you know what? What's the best way to work out my frustration and my anger than going to the gym? Was in the
Yeah,
gym. End up finding out that the audition for Ricky was that day, freaking out, spazzing out, not shaved, and hair's not done, wearing nasty Adidas tracksuits that are all torn up, most ugly shoes, a nasty little like tank top. I was probably in the least pampered condition anyone would want to be seen in. You know, I was going to like a little LA Fitness. It was no big deal. It was just another push day. You know what I mean? I was just
yeah.
trying to get my push in. Uh, Go to the audition with no headshot. Was 30 minutes late. I had to go into the restroom to wet my hair, make it look a little presentable. The timing of the universe said, "This is the moment, and this is the time. Just do you dance, and that's going to take care of everything." The fact that I rolled up into the audition, looking the way I did, and feeling the way I was feeling, um, chaotic, and not having a resume or headshot, which to me is like so unprofessional, and it's like
Yeah.
probably one of the scariest things to do, drawing a stick figure on a piece of paper with my name on it, little smiley face, turning that in with my phone number. Yeah, somehow by the grace of God, that was my time. You know,
That's a
everything's about
blessing.
timing. Everything's about, the right place, right time, and the right time to be casted for you as personality, person, and along with skill sets. Skill sets important, but everything else that gets you into the room and keeps you in the room is just as important. Worked with Ricky in 2018. That kind of Vegas ended that year. We had two runs in March and one in late May, and then didn't get to work on a tour because the following tour with him was because I was on Magic Mike in London.
Right.
So I'd already done that. Time passes. I did a couple music videos with him, Que Rico Fuera, right after the pandemic, and then 2 years ago or a year ago, I was able to be his double for a music video with him, which is
Hey.
really cool. And then this thus far with this tour, it's been really, really dope. He's probably one of the most loving people I've met. So
Yeah.
charismatic, so down to earth, and such a chill person. The people I get to work alongside on stage, the other dancers, are some of the dopest people. Super chill. Our bus is probably the best bus to be on, just because it's like we're all over 30, except for one that we've inherited. He's 28, but we're inheriting him to the 30 and up plus club. Our bus goes to sleep by like 10:30, 11 p.m. We're all like lights out in our bunks, like taking a little
That's
nice
hilarious.
rest. But this has been so cool to get back on the road and travel,
Hmm.
and do a tour of this caliber, and not just have Ricky's talent to witness and be a part of every night, but to see Pitbull and Enrique
Yeah.
and their
Yeah.
crews and their bands and their dancers, and to be inspired every night. Sometimes you get to just go out and watch. If we go last, we'll go out and watch the first two, and just enjoy free concerts every other night. You know what I mean? And like I said a little while ago, is for me, that has always been what I've aspired to get to also enjoy, is being on a live stage. Like TV is exhilarating because you got that camera and the cameras are
Yeah.
moving. You got B shot overhead. You got the steady
Yeah.
cam. You got the wide, so you can see the lights going from like the red dots switching from light, so you know where to
Yeah.
engage to and where to
Yeah.
catch the light and everything. When you're live on stage, there's so many things that can go wrong. There's
Yes.
things that can go right, and you got to adjust on the fly, or costumes can malfunction and you're still on stage, or you have even less time to quick change, and you're running through the crossover under the stage that no one gets to
Yeah.
see. But or like the other day we performed in Nevada, and it was Denver, or sorry, Nevada, in Colorado, and it was in Denver. The altitude had your boy crying. We had the little oxygen tanks, and you're just
Yeah.
like then running back out, come back
Oh
in.
God.
If quick
That's a
changes aren't, if they're not stressful enough as it is doing a regular 50-minute show, it is much more stressful when you're having a full-on anxiety attack because you don't know if there's even oxygen in the building. You know what I'm saying?
That's
But
hilarious.
what keeps you going is, for me, and it's always been the same, even with like with specifically also with Magic Mike, was when you get to see the people that you're not just performing for in the front, but like also the people like far away from you. Like for me, I didn't grow up with the accessibility for a lot of classes or a lot of training because, you know, we got other priorities at home that take
Mhm.
precedent. You know what I mean? Like food,
Yeah,
clothing,
absolutely.
light bill, heat,
Right.
yeah, all those things, you know? So for me, when I see a couple or a father and mother daughter, whatever the situation may be, or the people who are coming to come see the show, I never take it lightly and I never take it for granted because I don't know what kind of sacrifice those people did or had to make to, you know, be there and enjoy that show. I mean, tickets aren't cheap. And I know that's always what kind of like the most thrilling part is performing and getting to be a part of, and maybe an insignificant part, but like a part of that person's core memory or imprint of of that show that they desperately wanted to go watch because they were such a fan of whatever artist it was that brought them to that venue that night. And wasn't too long ago, was maybe like a week ago, we had a show in Austin, and I performed for my parents before, and I performed for my little sister before. You know, I performed with her as well on stage. So
Yeah.
they've seen us dance on competitions. They've seen me dance for Ricky Martin. They both also seen me dance for live television. For So You Think in the audience, but nothing prepared me to see my niece in the
Ah,
crowd dancing and literally picking up the choreography. I do two steps and she was right behind me, like in the pocket doing it with me. Like, you know what I mean? Like to see her like jumping up when I'm hyping the crowd and jumping along with me and like that for me, and also knowing how natural dance is coming to her and the facility that she has, that's she's got a beautiful point and arch in her foot that would make her a great ballerina, and she's always had great like natural instinct
mhm.
with dancing and has always fought it and has always said no, I'm not going to be a dancer, no. And I don't know if that's a whole like mommy has to do that for work, so
Yeah.
I don't want to do that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But she's turning 8 this year, and seeing her in the audience and then talking to her afterwards, she's like, I think I want to do that when I grow up now. And to like have that, you know, to share that imprint, you know what I mean? I don't know
Absolutely.
what that show's gonna mean to her when she's 18 and I'm,
Right.
we don't need to talk about what I'm gonna be, but you know, it's just like moments like that.
Yeah.
Like if that meant so much to me, having my niece, I can only imagine what it feels like also for other people when they get to share it with whoever they go to any concert, any show, you know
Absolutely.
what I mean?
Well, I
Um,
mean, you also don't, I mean, you can't imagine what it means to her seeing her uncle up there.
right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that you think about impact, and I hope and pray that this happens. I really hope this happens to you. I hope you have a moment with her where she tells you how much that seeing you up on that stage. Because I feel like you deserve it. As many people as you've impacted, as many people as you love, and as much as you love as much as it shines through, I pray that you have that moment to where and I'm sure you've had moments where people tell you like how much you inspire them and everything, but I hope you have that moment where your niece tells you to your face, however old you're gonna be, that you know what
Or young.
I'm or young, um I'm doing this because of X, Y, and Z. And I can remember back in 2024 seeing you on stage and just how great that felt seeing you up there because I know and that's my uncle. And I used to say that I didn't really want to do. I've always wanted to do dance because I've always watched you.
Yeah.
I really hope and pray that that happens. And if it doesn't, I feel like it's gonna happen.
If it doesn't either, I still had, like I said, what was a funny like moment to like funny and beautiful moment to like see that and be happy, but also be like, I think I'm about to ball out. I'm gonna start crying right now, but I also
Yeah,
got to keep it
man.
together because I'm like, you know, performing and it would kind of be like random, but definitely, I don't know. I was definitely holding back some tears during that show. I mean, they
That's
were happy
awesome.
tears, but it was just like
Yeah.
just an over amount of energy that was, you know, just flowing through me at that
No,
point.
it's just, I mean, you have to, I can't even imagine like just the overflow of the senses. Just like my
That's every
family's
day,
here. Yeah, like,
let alone
you
like
know,
regular show. You know what
yeah,
I mean?
I mean, to have your family there and just, you're back home in Texas and just, oh man, you know. It's just it's weird because you're just
Like
you
just years ago, I was at the bubble. We were
yeah.
doing cheer camps, or I was at cheer camps,
Yeah, I was at cheer
like
camp in this
competing. You
bubble.
know what I
Yeah,
mean?
and and now it's like it's a full circle moment where I follow my dream, and you know, there's somebody out there that's probably watching me that's like, you know what, I want to do that one day. Like I just, I mean, God's so good, man. Like to take your blessing and bless somebody else, man. I don't know, bro. I can literally talk to you for hours, but I'm gonna shut up. I'm gonna give you these questions so we can get you out of here because you gotta work. Um, and I got
We
surgery in the
gotta shut
morning.
them out.
All right.
You got surgery tomorrow, damn.
Yeah, I got a bicep surgery. You know what I'm saying?
It was just like take that off.
Well, one of my cheer girls was falling out of a pyramid, caught her, bicep
Oh,
pop. So I mean it's a partial
damn.
tear. It's nothing like super super crazy, but it's crazy enough
Okay,
I gotta get
well,
surgery.
I'm gonna
Um,
send you all the healing energy for that,
I
and everything's
appreciate
gonna
that.
come out
That's
great.
love.
And speedy recovery.
I
I'm gonna see
appreciate
you
that.
doing these squats and these bench presses
Oof,
again real
oof, I'm
soon.
telling you, I better. I need it. I'm trying to get to South Africa this year. All right.
Ayo.
First question, as we
All right.
wrap things up. If you were stuck on a deserted island, what are three things that you would take with you?
My boyfriend, my
Mhm.
Pomeranian, and what would be the third thing? I guess it'd be a survival kit.
Okay. By the way, y'all need to see his boyfriend. This dude is I I took the DMs like, what are y'all doing? Like, what are y'all doing that I'm not doing? Because little perfect couple. I say little Valentine's crap. I was mad at it.
Thank you.
Oh,
You know,
all that perfect Valentine stuff. I mean, I ain't gonna
uh,
lie. I had a cute little Valentine myself. I'm like, oh,
okay.
is that what it's like to be Ken and Ken? Must be nice. All
You
right.
have to remember, I was actually I'm in Minnesota. I'm not actually with him at the moment. So
Oh
that's just a
yeah.
little flashback.
Oh
And sometimes it takes a little sacrifice,
yeah.
but
But I know
he's
he's proud
he's
of you.
dope. Oh yeah, for sure.
That'll be a
I'm
part
proud of
two.
him too. We'll talk
Ooh.
about that later.
Yeah, that's gonna be a part two for sure, for sure. Like we're gonna be after the tour, we'll circle back. Um, so boyfriend, Pomeranian, survival kit. All right, I accept that. Those are
I
acceptable.
mean, honestly, I just need the Pomeranian, the boyfriend, and the son. You said an island, right?
I mean, it's a deserted island. I mean, yeah. I
So
mean, it's
you're
cool.
saying no one's gonna bother us?
Boy,
We'll
you
spend
gotta have
time
to
with.
eat. Okay, cool. I mean, it'll be a dead island then, because you don't have to eat. What are you gonna do
You can go fishing. I like sushi.
with what?
I
The
don't know.
survival
I'm
kit.
sure
You got the
I'm a
survival kit.
Mexican. I know I can
I
do a
can't.
whole lot of things. I'm sure there's sticks somewhere. There's
I, I
rocks. You can
I
make them
hope for
sharp.
your sake. I hope for your sake there's something.
I'm savvy.
And then
I'll
you have
tech
a you
savvy. I'll
you
figure
have
it
a
out.
you have a survival kit. You're fine. The survival kit. You should have everything you need. Um.
I'm
Okay.
gay.
So
I am the survival kit.
I hate you so much.
We're gay. We're resourceful. We'll figure it out.
We're resourceful. This is what we do. Um. So I can't stand you. Um. Let's go with your Mount Rushmore.
Okay. So
Okay.
top four. Definitely gonna start with Lexi Chaliff,
Oh, love
who,
you, Lexi. Love you,
if
Lexi.
she hadn't gotten the idea of So You Think and Me, and her always being one of my biggest cheerleaders, saying you could totally do that, you could totally be that person that you know comes from here or whatever the story. You're just that. She was just that person that motivated me and told me that I could do anything. Where it was from not making it to UCA the first time to then getting the second time to not making So You Think the first time and getting that, and like her also kind of taking me under her wing and learning how to make the skills I had already acquired with cheer and dance and turn that into a business and teach me how to set choreography, how to edit music, how to make it, you know, arsenal of tools that she gave me and that I already had,
Yeah.
how to just move forward with that and use that to create a living for something that I enjoyed and didn't necessarily know I could create as a life.
Right.
My other mentor, Jesse Santos, who was also
Yeah.
someone who led the pathway with training and the outlets with HHI and World of Dance and introducing me into that world and all of that things and also the jobs in between that I've been able to work with him. um Musically, ooh, that's a hard one. I mean, honestly, performing every night with Ricky, that's something like growing up, that's someone who I was dancing to his
Absolutely.
music and
Yep.
I was shaking my bum bum as a kid. So
Yep.
to do that every night, I owe some inspiration to him, and not just him. I think the fourth one I would say would be Janet Jackson,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, and oh, but also like Britney Spears. So that's a catch 22. I don't know. I don't know.
Ooh.
I can't pick one, but maybe
You don't
I'll
have to
just
pick
sum it
one.
up. Maybe I'll sum it up into just artists in general,
Okay.
musical artists, because without musical artists, I feel like I would not, you know, have had or become the person that I am. You know, that
Absolutely.
music and performance is what moved me and helped me,
Absolutely.
stay alive at some points. And I think that's
That's
technically five, but
it's all dude, that is they're all heavy hitters too. I mean, you said Janet, it's you know what? When you say Janet, it's just like I mean, Janet transcends all that is music, all that is artistry. She's Janet is everything. So you can say Janet and Brittany. It's fine. Like who's gonna say no to Janet? Who? I'm certainly not. I make the rules. There's no way. I'm never gonna say no to
this is
Janet.
my show.
My show, my show, my shit. Yes. I mean, wow. Yeah. You added two heavy hitters at the end. I'm like, okay, yeah. And I just and it's weird because I think Brittany always now today's Brittany catches a bad rap, but I don't think people understand. People are very quick to forget how much of a chokehold Brittany
Yeah.
had on the world for like literally a decade at minimum. At minimum, I don't know. I don't think I'll ever not be a Britney fan, and maybe that's why I'm such a. I know I'm a Taylor hater, dog. I'll admit it. Like I'm not the biggest Swifty fan, um, because I remember artists had to be able to. You had to have a little bit of a dance in you. You couldn't just stand there.
I
You
mean,
had
yeah.
you had. I mean,
It was always the whole you had to have
you had to have the whole
every single part
package.
of the package. Yeah.
I hate you can't you couldn't touch the pop charts without having at least a little something. Madonna
Yeah.
wasn't the greatest dancer, but Madonna had a little something. You know what I
she
mean?
she was she was just that's a whole other person else as well. Like her creativity and the way she puts things together in her shows is beyond, and she gets the full picture and the artistry of it, and the
Ugh.
story and the message she's trying to get across. That's also she
I
did have the full package
to
in that sense as well.
to this day, that's the only concert, not the only, that's one of the only concerts I'm like, I don't know that, I mean, I hope and pray that I get to go to one of her shows because oh my God, that's crazy. That just brings back a memory. I remember we used to go out and Georgia was like, LS, we ain't going to the little straight clubs. We're going to the gay club. Okay, cool. I was like, so what's that mean? He's like, that means you coming with us. I'm like, okay, cool. I guess I'm coming with y'all. All right. Well, you also know that means you get to hear what you want to hear. I'm like, they play Madonna. I was like, they play Madonna, and that would be how Salad and Jar would get me to go out. Like, hey, we're going to the gay club because they play Madonna. I'm like, oh, I'll be there. I have an unhealthy obsession with Madonna. Unhealthy. I've
Guess what I'm
always
gonna go watch? Guess what I get to see on March 11th in LA?
I don't even want to hear it. If I hear what I think I'm gonna hear, I'm deleting this whole thing. No way. God,
Yeah, I'm
dude.
I'm kind of I'm kind of psyched out. Finish the tour on the 10th of this month of next month, and fly back to LA on the 11th. And that night, I get to go watch the Queen herself.
Oh, I'll be where I'll be. I'll be in Reno, and then I come. Actually, that's that right? Yeah, yeah. I'll have to go to Reno. Then I come back from Reno. What do I do after that? Oh, I have to go to Vegas because Wu Tang's they have a residency for 2 days. So
Oh
I gotta.
shit,
Yeah, they have a 2 day residency, and
that's dope.
I gotta go see Wu Tang.
You
Gotta go see
cannot.
them. Yeah, you can't not go see Wu. Okay, last one, and I'm out of here. Okay, you're trapped in an alley, gun to your head. The only way you got alive is you got to give me 15 seconds of a song. I don't care what the song is. 15 seconds of the song. First question is, would you be able to get out alive? Yes or no?
I think so. I would definitely go with a chorus.
What song would it be?
It's gonna be "Give Me More" by Britney Spears. It probably would not be appropriate at that point if I was gun to my head
It
and to
don't
keep
even
repeating
matter.
and saying, give me more, give me more, give me more,
Just listen.
give me more, 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 give me more,
Okay,
give me more. It's Britney,
there's.
bitch.
I hate you. I love you. I hate you. Edson, I don't even know where to start. I don't know where to end. I just know that I am super grateful and thankful for you taking out the time. I know it was only supposed to be an hour, but you have such a rich life and some rich experiences. I was like, I'm just gonna let him just say it. and talk and do his thing, and I'm just gonna just go along for the ride. It's one thing to be a fan of a person, but it's one another thing to be a fan of a person that you know, and it's a whole nother level when you get to fanboy of a person that you know. And I was able to fanboy for a little bit and catch up and see what my boy's doing. You're doing well. You're inspiring, and you keep inspiring, and you're loving what you do. And I think for me, that makes me just as happy as anything else. I mean, is that you're happy doing what you're. Not a lot of people have that opportunity to have a career that they enjoy on a daily basis. I know not every day is like sunshine and rainbows, but you know you're able to do something that you're passionate about, something that you love, and something that when you're done doing what you're doing, you can look back and like, you know what, man, I really, really had an awesome life, and I'm proud of you for that. I really, really am. Like
Thank you.
a lot of people never chase their dreams, man. You chase your dream, and now you're living it, and because you're living your dream, people like myself can live vicariously through you. I appreciate you for that.
Thanks, bro.
So, where can people find you? What are your socials? Where can we find you?
It's pretty easy. Edson Juarez19, and that's it. EDSONJUAREZ19. The social media handle is basically the same for all social media.
Bet, and I'll make sure that I put on like I literally look
Yeah,
like low
tap
key
here,
his
swipe up,
IG, yeah, his swipe up. His IG will be
click
one of
like,
these. Yeah,
subscribe. You know,
please, please. I gotta feed mouths at this house. But thank you so much, man. My last question to you will be this, and we'll wrap it up. When you're done with all the dancing, all the performing, and you decide to hang up the shoes, what is one thing that you want people to remember you?
ooh, that's a heavy question.
That's what I do.
I I would say I would want people to remember the joy I had doing my job.
Love that.
And yeah, that's basically it. I'm a big person on doing what you love and enjoying what you do. And like you said, sometimes it's not sunshine and rainbows, but through the hard parts, what gets you through it is the love and joy at the end of the day. And I hope that whoever sees me, whether it's working alongside or performing for, um, I hope they know I enjoyed every second of it, no matter what was going on behind the scenes, because I ultimately, in those few minutes or hours or whatever long it is when I'm performing, that is the truth. It kind of all goes away. All that sound, all that in the midst of all that loud music and roars of the crowd, it all goes silent, and everything just feels right in that point in time.
That's awesome. Ooh, I love that. I got chills. Man, I really appreciate you for this.
I appreciate you, bro.
I, I won't take up any more of your time. I will just say, ladies and gentlemen, we had a good one. I give you Edson Juarez.